What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys a Week 5 team builder for the NCL Season 4 in the Zebstrika division. Taking on my good pal Daniel and his Seattle Staraptors. Let's run through his team then. He has the Thunderous Therian, Volcanion, Blissey, Tapu Lele, which is it's telepathy only, no Psychic Surge, Registeel, Golurk, Megalodios, Serena, Scolipede, Mienshao, and Alolan Persian. He has priority users in the Mienshao with Fake Out and Persian with Fake Out. Hazard setters with the Blissey with rocks, Registeel with rocks, Golurk with rocks, and Scolipede with spikes and toxic spikes. Removal options in the Thunderous with Defog, Volcanion with Defog, Megalodios with Defog, and Serena with Rapid Spin. And he doesn't have a single 4x weakness on the team. In terms of what I'm not really expecting, I don't think Tapu Lele necessarily has the best matchup here. To my knowledge, it doesn't get bug coverage like Signal Beam or anything, so it's not the best against Hoopa-Unbound, but he could definitely rock like a spec set and be pretty scary there. I'm not entirely sure about if Lele would come. It's a nice way for him to break a Mungus, but I also think that Volcanion does that just fine, and so does Megalodios. It's actually his kill leader on the season, which is kind of why I'm iffy on it. I didn't prep overly hard for it, but I also didn't really expect it to come. So, yeah, there's that. Serena, I don't really think Serena's going to show up. It could, but I don't think it's going to come. I don't know. I'm sort of torn on this. He hasn't brought Registeel to a single game, but Registeel is by far and away his best Mega DNC check. And so I would anticipate the Registeel to come as a Mega DNC check, but he hasn't brought it to a single game yet, so I'm not entirely sure if he's going to do that or not. Golurk he's brought to a couple games. I've used Golurk now in PTL, and it's such a ginormous threat that I'm not sure if he's going to bring it or not, though. Again, Serena, I'm not sold that he's going to bring it or not. I don't have the hazard diversity that I think he would need to bring Spin, and I don't think he needs to be scared of webs, because he's got Scolipede for speed boosting, and then Latios and Thunderous go above the webs, and nothing else is really super affected by it. Maybe Mienshao, but I don't really see that even. Because what he's going to be using Mienshao for is like breaking my walls, and maybe clicking U-turn against Hoopa. That would be the only other thing I could think of. Alolan Persian, I'm also not really expecting. It kind of gets hard cucked by Mega DNC, and he has to run like Iron Tail to get around that. He can't just parting shot around, which is the main idea behind Alolan Persian. Yeah, so I'm not super sold on that. His walls in general, I'm not super duper sold on. Yeah, I'm not super duper sold on his walls in general, just because they get absolutely wrecked by Buzzwole, and Buzzwole's got an amazing matchup, so I'm saving it for last here. So let's look at my team then. We've got the physically defensive Vaporeon with Scald, Baton Pass, Wish, and Roar. To be able to baton pass some wishes into things. In my mind, the Serena or the Thunderous are his best answers to this. Volcanion could run like HP Electric or something, but I can reasonably just Roar in front of Volcanion or Wish Pass. There's not much it can do to me overall. It's mainly a Scolipede answer and a Mienshao answer and like a physical Dragon Dance Latios answer. It's definitely gonna have T-Bolt, so I gotta be worried about like a calm mindset for sure. But this can potentially roar that out. Again, yeah, Golurk, Scolipede, Mienshao is the main check to those kind of thing. Spread some Scald Burns around potentially, although I would like Toxic on this set. You know what, I'm actually going to get rid of Baton Pass for Toxic, just so that I can hit the Volcanion. If Chrome's not going to lag, there we go. Because I like the Baton Pass to an extent, but I don't really need to pass it in anything. I'd rather have the Toxic to catch things. Especially mons like Blissey. If I can Toxic it, then it forces Heal Bells out of it, or it forces it to switch for Natural Cure. So that's what we've got going on with the Vaporeon. Pretty basic, honestly. And then Spadef Bronzong here with Heat Proof. I've got Heat Proof there for the Volcanion, so I can eat a Fire Blast and get an Earthquake off on it, potentially. He obviously won't know that I'm Levitate right away. And so if he's carrying Earth Power as well, I can't imagine he'd be carrying Earth Power as well. It doesn't really hit anything on my team better than water. Water coverage is going to hit the ante anyways, so there's really no reason for him to carry Earth Power. I also don't think the Scolopede's necessarily going to even carry Earthquake. It only hits Mega Diancie if he's expecting Levitate Bronzong, so Aqua Tail would make a lot more sense, and so Heat Proof is going to be pretty nice for me actually this game in terms of just sponging the fire attacks. Rocks, Toxic, Gyroball, Earthquake. Gyroball is going to do a lot to everything. Everything that's faster, excuse me, except maybe the Thundy, but I've got Toxic for that. Double Dance Thundy probably just wins the game. And so I don't really have a way around that besides being like Wakan Vaporeon, but at +2 I'm pretty sure I still just die to T-Bolt. So that Thundurus is like a gigantic problem, and in my opinion it's probably the biggest problem to my team. Bronzong can chew a hit, but I can't do much back besides just Toxic. And, you know, Gyroball will do more once he's got an agility up for sure, but it's not super relevant before that. It's like pitiful damage against a resisted hit, obviously, because it's an electric type, so he's resisting steel. Gyroball is really nice. It'll break a Mega Latios sub and whatnot there. It's a really easy way for me to abuse the Scolipede if he can't kill me. But if he's like Bugsy or something, then I'm fucked anyways, so there's not much I can do about that. Rock's a really good chip. They kind of punish the Thundy switching in. They punish the Volcanion switching in over and over again, which I really like. I don't necessarily think he's going to be able to get off a defog, and again, I don't think the Serena is going to come all that often. So I think Rocks are a solid bring here against his team. Just sort of punishes switches a little bit. Hoopa's next. I'm running an Assault Vest Hoopa for the Mega Latios. Fully physical. So this is a little bit interesting. I've got Hyperspace Fury, which breaks through anything, honestly. His resists aren't really resist Hyperspace Fury, and his resists are the Mienshao and the Alolan Persian. So one of them is probably switching into Hoopa. I'd imagine it's going to be the Alolan Persian of anything, although he could definitely, yeah, probably wouldn't want to risk the Psychic prediction on the Mienshao there. To get the U-turn off afterwards, but Alolan Persian is likely carrying U-turn, and at some point this game I'm going to be punished for that. So he's got some really good U-turners on this team, and bringing Hoopa sort of opens me up to momentum for him. It hasn't in the previous matchups because my Hoopa hasn't been pressured by U-turns. They kind of just weren't brought in the previous matches, the bonds that actually got U-turn. In fact, I don't think in week 1 there isn't a single Pokemon that learns U-turn there. Week 2 Jed only had type null and it didn't come. Week 3 the Zapdos and the Darmanitan didn't come and they were the U-turners. And then week 4, I mean, Tapu Koko, Venomoth, Victini, and Decidueye are the U-turners there. Decidueye didn't carry it, Victini didn't carry it, Venomoth didn't carry it, and Koko didn't come. Oh, and Liepard gets it, but Liepard didn't come either. So this is the first match where I think Hoopa is going to actually be offensively pressured with momentum. And so there's going to come a point where I might actually have to just say, all right, fuck it, Hoopa's lost its usefulness, and we're going to move on with our lives. But in theory, this should be able to check a Calm Mind Mega Latios with the Hyperspace Fury and whatnot. I've got Knockoff to get rid of items, especially useful against spawns like Blissey. And honestly, can kind of just catch anything switching in as well after Hyperspace Fury. Potentially there. I've got the Drain Punch there to hit the Alolan Persian and the Registeel, get a lot of HP back against the Blissey too. And then Zen Headbutt is there just as a really good stab option. For later on, when I don't want to lower my defense with Hyperspace Fury, or if I think I can catch like Mienshao switching in on me, then a Zen Headbutt's going to bop it. I think the Scolipede, I think he might overpredict with the Scolipede, and so I might get a little bit ballsy against the Scolipede, and I might click Zen Headbutt against it raw, with him predicting me to switch out on the bug move. But because I think he might end up clicking Swords Dance, but I might have to scout out a little bit for that earlier. Hoopa's running out of speed for Serena, so I'll outspeed Serena, which means unless he's a Scarfer, he's not going to be able to kill me with a U-turn before I get a shitload of damage off on him. If I get the defense drop, then obviously I'm dying. So Hyperspace Fury is a little bit of a risky click here. Max Attack, a little bit of HP, a little bit of Spit F. The AV is going to help it a lot against the Mega Latios. I can definitely need a hit from Thundurus, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he runs like a Scarf Thundurus or a Specs Thunderous with U-turn over a Double Dance set, just because he might feel pressured to get up an agility before a nasty plot, and then maybe he dies the turn that he sets up a nasty plot. It's kind of a risky play for sure against me. If he wants to bring Double Dance Thundy, it's got a good matchup. If he brings like Double Dance HP Flying over HP Ice, that is, then he's a little bit walled by Rotom. Well, he's a little bit walled by Rotom Frost either way. He needs to bring like fighting coverage for that, I think. But otherwise, he's a little bit walled by a Moongus. And so there's a few scenarios where, you know, he maybe doesn't bring that set, but it's definitely a threat against me, and he's going to have to choose whether or not he wants to set up the agility or the nasty plot first. In my opinion, I think he is forced to set up the agility first, because otherwise Mega DNC just comes in and revenge kills, or, you know, I get a big hit off, and then he's stuck in a position where he can't switch back on rocks or anything like that. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the Hoopa set. Garchomp's next. I'm running a Yachi Berry Chomp for HP Ice Thunderous for Ice Beam Mega Latios. I don't necessarily think he's going to want to click Draco Meteor with Latios, because then that really opens him up to Mega DNC coming in. I'm anticipating Ice Punch on Golurk for this as well, so if he brings the Golurk, then I'm definitely anticipating that. So I've got the Ice Berry here just in case. EQ, Swords Dance, Dragon Claw, Rock Tomb. This is a sort of a nice mid-game breaker. It especially punishes his walls and forces in some of his faster mons. Rock Tomb is there. I didn't need Poison Jab. I can click Earthquake just fine against the Tapu Lele, and I can click Dragon Claw just fine against the Serena. What would be a really good play on his part is switching to Serena on the Earthquake and then going hard Tapu Lele, and if he Scarf Tapu Lele, I'm in a bad spot. I opted out of being Roselli Berry and into being Yachi Berry, specifically because I see the likelihood of Tapu Lele a little bit less here. With Bronzong on my team, I just can't necessarily see a Tapu Lele coming all that often, although he would probably just run Shadow Ball for it. Rock Tomb is there because I didn't need another move, and it'd be nice to get a little bit of speed control against things. It's the most accurate rock move I can get, and so if I'm in against the Thunderous, I can click Rock Tomb against it before a Dragon Claw will kill it, and then I'm in a solid spot against that in terms of speed control. Scolipede, same sort of thing. I can click Rock Tomb against it, get a little bit of speed control back, or at least put him back to neutral in terms of his speed. And it's nice against the Mega Latios. If I predict the Ice Beam or whatever, I can get some speed control and then Dragon Claw it. That's about the only reasons that I have Rock Tomb there. You know, maybe punishing a Tapu Lele, Scarf Tapu Lele or something, switching in. But overall, like, his speed is there, but it's not punishable all that much. And then after his speed, there's kind of a huge drop off into the nothingness of no speed runners. So that is Chomp. I'm running a speed on here for Thunderous Therian. So I should definitely outspeed that unless he's a Scarf variant or it has an agility up, and then max attack, a little bit of HP there. Hopefully I can live a hit with the Yachi Berry with like barely any bulk, but I needed the speed investment. DNC's next. This is a nice win con for me. I'm running Diamond Storm, Moonblast, Earth Power, Rock Polish. A nice mix set with the Rock Polish there. My own little form of speed control. So with certain mons chipped or gone, aka Registeel and Blissey, this set can potentially just win the game at +2. Now, it really depends on his sets and what he wants to bring, but Diamond Storm punishes a lot of mons really hard, bar Golurk and Registeel, and Moonblast punishes basically everything else. I've got Earth Power there to hit the Registeel. It's like the only reason I even have Earth Power on this set is so that I have something to hit the Registeel. It's going to be stronger than HP Fire is, so that's why I've got that there. Diamond Storm, depending on the Blissey's bulk investment on the physical side, is potentially a 2-shot after rocks. I believe it's like impossible for me to 2-shot fully physically defensive Blissey after rocks, unless I was like max physical attack. And so there was a point where I was like, well, maybe I just run fully physical DNC. And then I looked at my team and I was like, well, I don't have any special threats besides DNC this week. So, you know, Blissey's not really a problem for Hoopa, Garchomp, and Buzzwole. And so I'm anticipating maybe it just doesn't show up. You know, Registeel, also not a problem for those. So if those aren't there, then if I just get a little bit of chip on things and I can maybe get the opportunity to set up a Rock Polish in regular DNC form, I will outspeed everything not named Alolan Persian, and I will speed tie with the Latios. Sorry, I won't outspeed Scolipede either, but I'll outspeed it obviously before it gets a speed boost up, and I'll outspeed it after 1 speed boost because of my Rock Polish. So That's the coverage options on the DNC there, and that's kind of how the set breaks down. I'm running a hasty nature because I don't anticipate that I'll be setting up on any physical attackers, like a Scolipede or Mienshao or a Golurk. I'd rather set up on a special attacker. Yeah, set up a Rock Polish on a special attacker, or set up a Rock Polish on a wall, like a Blissey, later on. And hasty nature isn't going to change the seismic toss damage from that, but it, Iron Head from Registeel could be a bitch. So that's what's going on with DNT. And the last but not least is Buzzwole here. Running Scarf Buzzwole really punishes him late game if the Scolipede's out of the way or doesn't have any boosts. I'm hoping that I can sort of scare the Scolipede off with my offense early on and maybe force it in later. Buzzwole can definitely take any hit from the Scolipede. It really doesn't get a lot of options that can hit the Buzzwole really hard, so I can easily take a hit and get a boost later. Leech Life Superpower, Ice Punch, Earthquake. I'm just running 4 attacks, so his knockoff users aren't the best. They're Mienshao, Persian, and Thunderous, and Serena, but while they do exist, I don't necessarily think that I'm scared of my Buzzwole getting an item knocked off by basically any of those. This is somewhat of a Mienshao switch in too. I can definitely chew hits from that, especially U-turns. I think he gets like bounce or something that he could definitely run, but I'm not super scared of that. If I'm predicting like a Latios coming in on my Drain Punch and whatnot, then a Leech Life is a really clean play. But I'm not running Drain Punch here, I'm running Superpower instead, because it's a much faster way to break through a Blissey and a Registeel and a Lowland Persian. Golurk's obviously a problem if I lock myself into either of those moves, so I've got the Ice Punch for the Golurk as well as the Thunderous, which would also be a problem if I lock myself into those. It's a nice middle ground play against the Latios and the Serena too. And then I've got Earthquake there just as a safer option to break through Registeel and as my best option, I believe, to break through the Volcanion. I'm running out of speed on the Buzzwole to outspeed Serena, so I will outspeed Scarf Serena with this set, which the Hoopa's not doing. And I've got max attack, a little bit of HP investment on there. And that's the idea behind the Buzzwole. So I'm hoping I'm in a good spot here. I'm not super duper confident in the build this week. Daniel ended up taking first place from me because he 6-0'd Phil this last week. And so this is probably our hardest match of the season. It's the match of 2 undefeated teams once again. Like I said before, we had 3 or 4 really hard weeks coming up. We took down Cade. Daniel's next. Mike's after Daniel, and then Hamu. And so if we can make it through those weeks, then we're sitting pretty for playoffs and whatnot, and potentially a really solid season. I'm in love with this team. I'm not in love with this matchup overall, but Daniel seemed to be having some problems building as well. I think my offense sort of forces a different kind of building, and my defense is just so consistent that it might be a little bit harder to break through with his team. But we'll sort of see. Volcanion's definitely a threat that I've underprepared for, and I know that he's going to be bringing it because it's his baby. So I'm sort of willing to bait that in with my walls and just nuke it with my offense that's faster than it. So we'll sort of have to scout out the set and whatnot. Oh, my apologies, I just woke up. So that's the matchup, that's the teams, and that's me done. So I'll catch you guys for the match.